everyone, thanks for coming back to the BNS channel. My name's Edie Ann. I just got back from doing my third COVID test. The first one that I did it because I wasn't feeling well. I had flu-like symptoms and what I thought, well, I started with a sore throat. And so I ended up going to get tested at the hospital. They did the rapid antigen test, which came back in an hour, and it was negative. And then somebody in my, about, I don't know, 2 weeks later, a little over a week, almost 2 weeks. Somebody in our family, a couple people in our family ended up testing positive for COVID, and I had been around them. So I went and got another test at the hospital. This test was sent out, and it took about 5 days for me to get back the results. The results were negative. I still have my sinus infection, and it's been 2 weeks now. And I have done my 10 days in quarantine from my negative test from being in contact with somebody with COVID, and I wanted to retest. So I went this morning through I made an appointment through the Walgreens drive-through testing. And I'm telling you, there's a difference. So I haven't gotten the results from that one yet. That's about a half hour to an hour result. It is also the rapid antigen test. There's a difference having somebody else stick a cotton swab up your nose versus you doing it yourself. And it's funny because I was just sitting here thinking about a comparison of what that's like. So when you have somebody else putting a cotton swab in your nose, they're in control as far as how deep it goes, how much pressure they're putting. And for both times that I had it done at the hospital, I sneezed. I'm a pretty profound sneezer anyway. The first time I felt horrible because as soon as she pulled the swab out of my nose, I sneezed, and she was like right there. I didn't have my mask on, obviously. No, I did have my mask on. It was up to below my nose. But it made me sneeze because it tickled. And so today, I'm the one that put the cotton swab up there, and I went pretty far, I think. And it didn't tickle like it did when somebody else did it. And the analogy that I brought to my head was when you're driving a car, when you are driving the car, you don't feel the bumps and the turns and that because you are holding onto the steering wheel, you're in control of the vehicle, and you're kind of anticipating what you're going to feel because you can see it. Kind of the same thing with putting a cotton swab up your nose. When somebody else is doing it, they're in control. You don't have anticipation of what they're going to do or how it's going to feel. I mean, you might know a little bit if you've had it done before what it's going to feel like, but when you're doing it yourself, it's weird because you're in control. You know where it's going. You know where you're putting it. You kind of know what it's going to feel like. And so there was the analogy. I thought it was a good analogy when I got up, when it came into my head. But yeah. So I'm going to wait for my third test results. Kind of sad, right? Because we're in the middle of this pandemic and my kids live in a different state, so I won't be seeing them for Christmas. And here's the thing, right? There's so many people doing so many different things. Fear dictates itself in everybody differently. Like how we deal with fear is going to look different for everyone. So some people get frustrated, some people get angry, some people get sad, some people get depressed, some people don't care. They're nonchalant about it. Some people are level-headed about it. Some people, I mean, there's just so many different ways to cope with fear that you never know what you're going to get from somebody. And I find that we're seeing that a lot right now in how people are coping with the pandemic. Some people are going about life like it doesn't exist. Some people are going about life as though it does exist, and they're cautious. They're being as careful as they possibly can, but still trying to live their lives. You have some that are completely frozen in fear and don't want to be exposed to it, don't want to expose others to it. And so you've got the gamut of isolation to just non-existent. So the choice for me to not go to my kids this year for Christmas, that was difficult for me because I'm kind of like in the middle. Like I'm in the middle phase where I'm like, you know what, I still want to live my life, but I want to be super, super careful and not infect. I mean, that's my biggest fear. My biggest fear is to infect somebody else without realizing it. Now, would I know if I wasn't tested and I hadn't been, tested positive? I wouldn't, obviously, but that's why I keep testing. So I'm kind of like in the middle of the whole thing where I'm trying to be courteous and respectful, and this guy just put his left blinker on and turned right. That was kind of funny. So I'm kind of in the middle. I'm kind of trying to be courteous, respectful, to both sides of that fence of people's fears and reactions, and you know what I mean? So we decided not to participate in gatherings. I decided not to participate in traveling to their houses. We actually shipped everything out yesterday, and we're planning on doing a virtual gathering. So I think we're going to wait. We're not going to do it on Christmas Day because obviously they're not going to have their gifts then, and we want to open gifts together. So I think we're going to do it New Year's Day. In the morning, we'll get together on Zoom and open our presents, and then go have lunch and pick up from the presents and whatnot, and then come back at around 1 and have some games. We're going to do some virtual games. If you guys have ideas of good family fun games for all ages, please put them in the comments. I think one of the ones that we might do is a scavenger hunt. I'm going to make a list of a bunch of different items that they have to go and search for in their homes and bring it back, and the first person to bring it back to the screen gets points, and we'll have prizes and whatever. My son's like, I hope the prizes are cash. Cash is so motivating, isn't it? So yeah, so if you have any ideas on different things that we could do on our Zoom in the afternoon for our game time, please share them in the comments below. I would love to see that. So yeah, that's kind of what's happening in my world. Today is Wednesday the 23rd. Tomorrow's Christmas Eve. So it's, I'll know today if my test came back positive or negative. I'm assuming it's going to be negative. I've been super careful. I did my quarantine, so I didn't go anywhere. I was home the whole time. My dad, love you, Dad. My dad's been passed away for quite a few years. He must be thinking of me. So my husband, he works in the woods, so he's been kind of in and out, but not really in contact with anybody per se. I mean, there are some guys that kind of go to the garage and stuff, but really there has not been. It's been super minimal exposure, if any. So yeah, that's where we're at. I think one of the things that I'm part of my duty is I'm a restaurant owner. I serve people, I serve food. And so I feel like it's my obligation to just stay on top of the whole COVID thing and make sure that I am not spreading it. Like, I need to make sure that I'm not the one that is asymptomatic and carrying it on for other people. So I think that the multiple tests is not an overkill. I think that I think it's the right thing to do. I think it's just me being precautious and making sure that I'm not affecting other people, I will come back a little bit later to let you know the results so that I don't leave you hanging on this video. I hope you guys have a Merry Christmas. I'm going to have one more video that comes out next week for my 10-year Centiversary. But other than that, this is probably it's definitely my last video before Christmas. So happy holidays, Merry Christmas. I hope you get to be able to enjoy it as much as possible. Find ways to create new memories, because ultimately that's what it's all about right now, right? Is trying to find ways to create new memories. So I hope all of you are well. I hope you're safe. If you are suffering from COVID, I'm praying for you and your family members and everyone that might be affected by this, okay? All right, guys, have an amazing day. I'll be back with my test results. Hey, everyone. So I wanted to come back real quick and let you know that I got my test results. I'm going to post them in a picture after this so that you know that I tested negative and all is good. I can celebrate the holidays with my immediate family here. That's basically my husband, since my kids aren't coming. So yeah, that's a good thing. All right, guys, Merry Christmas, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye now.